Question 16 is a question about how we deal with share-based payments to employees. In this case, we're looking at equity settled share-based payments and how we would actually record the potential liability. So in this case then, DF has granted 500 share options to each of the 350 employees that they had on the 1st of January 2000X1. In order to be eligible, the employees need to remain employed for a 4-year period from the date of grant. So this is our vesting period. The options therefore must be exercised in the year to 31st of December 2000X5. So on the 1st of January, at the date of grant, we anticipated that 76 employees would leave over that 4-year vesting period. However, when we get to the end of that year, to 31st of December 2000X1, 26 staff have already left, and we revise our estimate to an idea that another 80 might leave over the next 3 years. The final bit of information is that the fair value of each option was $4.50 at the date of grant and $5.25 at 31st December 2000X1. So what we want to do is go and think about what the journal entry would be to record the charge to the profit or loss for the share option scheme. So here we've got various answer options, and when you answered this on screen, they may have been a kind of drop-down list for you to pick, or it might be a drag and drop question where you can physically pick one of these answers up and drop them into the box. So we've got two things to think about. We need to calculate the entry to appear here and think about where the actual credit entry would be shown in the SFP. So in terms of the SFP entry, the choice is either that it's an other component of equity or a non-current liability. When these shares are issued, they will form part of our equity, and so the correct option would be that we would credit this other component of equity, and this is the answer that we drop into this box here. In terms of the value, we need to do a few calculations here. The first thing is to think about how many employees we now estimate will actually be able to exercise these options. So originally, 1st of January X1, we had options being granted to 350 employees. However, during this year to December, 26 employees have already left, and we're estimating that another 80 will leave in the next 3 years before we get to the end of the vesting period. So that at the moment our forecast would suggest there will only be 244 employees who could actually exercise their options. Each employee has been granted options over 500 shares. And the final thing is to think about what value we would use for each of those shares. And the way that we account for these is always using the market value at the date of grant. So $4.50 is the correct value. Once we've got this value here from this first part of the calculation, that as a cost is spread over the vesting period. In this case, our vesting period is 4 years, and so the charge would be calculated by dividing that whole figure by 4. In this case, this would give us a figure of 137,250, this answer here, and this is the one we would drag and drop into this box.